can't complain on that front at all. And I think, you know, a lot of that was thanks to the PyraLight.
Yeah, we actually have a long history of people benefiting after surgery from PyraLight. I mean, in my case, I had an inguinal hernia, and the doctor expected me to be stay in the hospital for 3 days, and I was out the next day. I said, you know, no, I'm done. And I didn't need any antibiotics or anything like that. And then there's a really amazing interview I did with Maggie at UBC in Vancouver when she talks about her really serious accident. And literally her whole arm was replaced with titanium that they and everything. So she was given up for dead. She had 9 doctors after this really bad, you know, Harley Davidson crash. She crashed into a stag in the middle of Canada. It's like, and left in the ditch and expected to die. But her brother brought in the PyraLight and the Light, which, I mean, he knew she loved them, but they were all expecting her to die. And just one doctor who wanted to experiment with this titanium arm replacement said, okay, I'll just carry on working with her. But that was just literally a few days. They expected her to be dead over the weekend, but then she started recovering amazingly. And most of her brain was gone. But she drove me to the airport.
Wow.
I mean, she was totally functional. She was a little bit slower, but she's a light therapist, actual light therapist in Vancouver. And then my adopted daughter, I have 2 adopted Thai daughters, Q and Fa. And so Q's second, who's called B, she was meant to be born on my birthday, which is Songkran, and that's the 13th of April. And instead, she's just over a year now, a year and a half, basically. Instead, which is really crazy, she chose to come out 60 days earlier on the Chinese New Year.
Wow.
And she was, so 60 days premature. And the doctors thought she'd be in ICU for at least a month. And they had to inflate her lungs. But she was out in like 2 weeks and incredibly strong. So we had the PyraLight with her. And she's just like, you couldn't tell at all she was a preemie baby. I get goat's milk powder for the little ones. And they do really well. And actually, Dorian, who's Bar's son, he's very, you know, he's a little boy, so he's like running around being a monkey. So I said, why don't we get him to a gym? And so B is going to the same gym. She's, I mean, really amazing. Very interesting how that happens. So yeah, many people report that, but the difficulty I have is obviously getting this out into the world because, you know, from one level, a medical level, you could just say, well, okay, so I'm using photobiomodulation. So that's the flashing LEDs, and also on the Pyra, you can see them happily flashing.
Yeah, you can see them flashing. Yeah, just about.
Oh, okay. Let me turn up the intensity. So, because they're minimum. Okay.
There we go. Now you can even see the reflection. Yeah, there we go.
That's the hardcore. So it's that plus the magnetic field. And I don't know if you've tried this with your pad, but if you move your hands up and down like you would with
you can feel it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
no, I noticed that nearly immediately actually after plugging it in, and I was like, whoa, okay, because I mean you can feel the tingling really. If you're really in tune and you're kind of quite sensitive, especially in the state I was in, I could feel it immediately. And as recommended, I actually clear all my water every time. Like I've got like a bottle of water or a glass of water near me. I would just put that on there for like 5 to 10 minutes, and you can compare the difference. Like, I did a little taste test with my partner and said, okay, well, this is the same bottle of water. We poured out a glass, a normal glass that we didn't put on the PyraLight. Poured out another glass that would stay on the PyraLight for 5 minutes. And I didn't tell her which one was which. I just said to her, okay, well, tell me what you find from each one. And she just said, well, the one that obviously I knew was from the PyraLight, she said it just felt a lot lighter, a lot easier to drink. It just felt a lot smoother in comparison to the one that wasn't. And, it was the same observations I had. The one that wasn't on the PyraLight, it is a lot more dense, a lot heavier, if I can put it that way. It doesn't feel as smooth when it kind of goes down. So, and that's obviously all due to the magnetic field that's created. It's actually restructuring the water, right? So, applying that same kind of science or that same kind of concept into your body, we're 70% water, as a being, we're 70% fluid. So if you've got that magnetic field that can affect a glass of water, imagine what it's going to do to your whole body. So for me, just using a bit of science, a bit of logic, you can kind of come to quite an amazing conclusion, right? So yeah, just a little experiment we did here. Which,
That's great.
It was good.
Yeah, I actually I did that a lot at the light parties, because I have the light parties here every Saturday, and loads of people coming through. They could all, I think it's, obviously you're going to get a mix of more sensitive yin people and less sensitive yang people, but nearly all of them could feel it. I think all of them. I can't recall anyone who said no. But I use several pads for fermenting my food.
That's a good idea.
Fermented garlic over there, and fermented
kimchi.
cabbage.
Kimchi, that'd be great for kimchi.
Yeah, so I do sort of kimchi sauerkraut combination. I've minimalized it. So all I do is I get Napa cabbage, Chinese cabbage, chop it up for the kimchi version. And within, I've actually found out that the brine gets stronger and stronger. And so now, within a day of throwing cabbage in, it's fermenting. Whereas normally before I would start from a fresh brine. But it's kept alive, and the structuring and the heating of the little LEDs is just right to have a perfect fermentation.
I wonder what the effects would be on kombucha. Kombucha follows a very similar process. So imagine it could be pretty amazing if it's got that kind of result.
Yeah. I have my kombucha over there, and on the paddle. When I've fermented it fully, I'll move the things I'm really working on right now. But my kombucha is amazing. Actually, what I do is I'm not interested in the commercial style kombucha. I'm only interested in the vinegar. So it's like with urotherapy, the aged urine has thousands or even millions times more stem cells than the fresh urine. And I've got some over there, not that you're interested, but it's like,
yeah, just pass them over for me, a little glass.
Yeah, right. But it's about 3 or 4 months, no, maybe 6 months old.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll leave that to you for now, I think.
Yeah, but actually, if you listen to Dr. Ed Group, he's now promoting it. And I started doing urotherapy back in the 90s, but the yogis have done it for thousands of years, and it's part of Ayurveda. And, if you are bitten by a black mamba, what are you going to do? Well, die, right?
If you've got no antidote or any close, area to proper care, I guess. Yeah.
You have the antivenom. Within 15 seconds of being bitten, the blood, which is then filtered into the urine in a sterile way, creates the antivenom.
I didn't know that.
People who drink their urine immediately they're bitten live. And that is
a great fact to know. That is actually, obviously for ourselves, similar to you, we're kind of living, pretty much off grid, right? We're not close to any huge medical centers or doctors and all that. I kind of found out how scary it was when my dog recently got bitten by a cobra. And, I frantically called around everywhere to try and find the antivenom, and we just couldn't find it. And finally, I think it was like 6 hours after he got bit, we finally got some antivenom. But at that point, he already survived. He already made it through. So knowing that we could have actually fed him his own urine would have been amazing.
He might have been doing it, like even licking his genitals, which dogs seem to like to do a lot.
Quite a lot, yeah. And he does.
Because animals understand this. And, you know, it's, in fact, urokinase is used in every heart-based medicine drug. Urokinase is the thing, it's stronger than nattokinase. I mean, I love natto, but.
And what kind of ailments would you actually combat with that practice? Is there specific kind of so you know, heart failure, heart defibrillation, things like that? All of this can be combated by drinking your own urine. Yeah,
and in fact, I started it, as I said, I came across it. There's a book called Your Perfect Medicine, and there are actually 3,000 identified factors in urine, particularly the early morning urine. That's what the yogis drink. But you only drink your own urine, obviously.
Yeah.
But then there's this idea that I hadn't really come across, which is called looping. So people like the Alpha Vedic team, if you know about them, and they're in Washington State, and yeah, they promote it a lot. It's totally rejuvenating because in the morning you get $10,000 worth of stem cells in your urine, and you're throwing it away. I mean, it's like, what? So the way that people used to live hundreds of years, I mean, obviously it didn't have the pollution level, but if you take just think of it as filtered blood, right? Your blood is trying to make the best environment for all the cells. And all that the urine is doing is it's sterilizing. There are no bacteria go through into it. It's completely sterile, but it's an ultra-filtrated form of blood. That's what the loops of Henle, the nephrons and everything do in the kidneys. So you're drinking highly filtered, highly potent blood. And what I found, doing the looping where I'm continually drinking all day, my old childhood illnesses are coming up and clearing. So right now I'm at the end of a bronchitis episode I used to have every year in England because there was a sulfur yellow fog from the power stations every winter. And you know, literally it was yellow.
I lived there, I know about that, yeah.
Oh, you remember? Yeah, it was horrible. And so that has come up. I've been coughing like that in the same way. But before that, I had black wax coming out of my ears because I had ear stuff. It's like my body is going through
different levels
I had in reverse order. And I feel, you know, way better. And I'm sleeping better, you know, everything like that. And my skin's doing very well. It's all basically the filtered blood, ultra filtered blood.
So you say you're experiencing you're going through these symptoms again. Does that mean you're actually getting ill again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm coughing. I've been coughing just like I did as a child. You go through the symptoms because the cellular memory holds those.
Okay.
It has to clear the memory.
Reset, basically.
To clear. Yeah. Otherwise, you do detox, retox. You know, you clear the apparent effects of, you know, your toxicity, but it just comes back because the program's held magnetically in your body. And one of the things that PyraLight does is because it's harmonizing the three dantians, you know, 2 hertz for the lower dantian, 8 hertz Schumann for the heart, and 40 hertz, which is where the hemispheres of the brain are integrated from the thalamus. You know, that frequency, there was a spin out from MIT just to do a light to generate 40 hertz. And that was about 10 years, maybe 8 years ago, 30 million in funding. They still haven't got anything because they're stuck in the medical system. So what I'm doing with PyraLight and National Light is wellness products. And so wellness products, I make no claims because everyone's individual, but because I'm harmonizing the natural state that we live in nature, where we're integrated, our heart is calm, and our hara is strong. Then it doesn't care what's wrong, if you like, what's out of balance. Automatically it balances. And you're a very good example of that. So I really appreciate it. And, you know, one question I had for you is, how can we take this out into the world better? Because I've had all the videos and all the testimonials, and I sell to my community, but it's not really a commercial product. But it's for people like you and your partner and, you know, all of our community. We understand how foundational health is and understand that the body will heal, you know, it's the vitalist principle. But do you have any ideas? I have things like,
I mean, just as a kind of normal kind of like thought process that I would normally go through with anything, you know, regardless of, you know, what it is, you know, the first thing I would look at, okay, so what is our competitors out there? Now, unfortunately, in this case, you know, we're competing against the medical industry, you know, one of these biggest private conglomerates that are out to basically make people sick to kind of make loads of money, right, at the end of the day. So we're competing against these guys. Which already is like a huge challenge within itself. You know, you can't go in as a medical thing. Hence why I guess you're marketing as a wellness product as opposed to medical. Because for me personally, this is definitely fits within the medical realm. You know, it held up and performed way better than anything the medical industry provided me with. So that's like the first challenge, I guess. Now, looking at it just from another perspective in regards to anything that you want to get out into the world is you'll need to be able to funnel what you would call in the sales world leads, right? You'll need to be able to create leads. Now, at the current moment, you know, you've only, like you say, got your community, and I've only got the community I'm connected to. So yes, word of mouth is one funnel, you know, or that's one part of that funnel. But yeah, the ideal scenario for you would be is to get on board with somebody that is already established, that has already got a huge clientele base, who's already got a huge network of people that are along similar lines to what you're kind of currently creating, and then maybe marketing it through that side. Because yeah, you're not going to be able to just go out on your own in a kind of public space because you're competing against this medical conglomerate, right? You're not going to be able to fight against that. They'll just, anytime you kind of come into any form of competition, you'll get shut down. And that's what, you know, we've seen with people in the past, right? All these people that have all these amazing technologies and, you know, things that will help humanity. If it goes against, you know, one of these corporate structures, they just get shut down. You know, worst case scenario, you get killed, right? That's kind of what's happened out there, right? So I wouldn't go against, you know, that's not really going to help you in the time frame that we're looking to achieve something, right? But I agree with you. You know, a product like this needs to be out for the world to be able to benefit from. You know, it's tremendously helped myself. I mean, obviously, you've got a lot of cases where it's helped maybe hundreds of thousands of other individuals. Oh, sorry, my dog is just in the pond getting bitten by something. Sorry.
It's okay. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, you know, he's my child, so you know I do care. Yeah, so I think just to come back to what we're talking about is just to try and create that funnel of new people that are kind of coming in to actually experience this kind of technology. And I think the easiest way to do that is by networking yourself and leveraging other people's networks to be able to achieve that in the short term. That's kind of my only real kind of opinion or advice I can give in the situation that you're kind of currently in. You know, alternatively, it's also just, you know, to motivate your current network to actually get the word out there. You know, in a case, this could be via some form of an incentive. You know, say, look, you know, I would love to get this product out there. Obviously, you guys know what the benefits are. If you end up, you know, passing this on to another person, they end up buying one, you can get a percentage, or you can get a product for free, or you can get something like that. So you incentivize your current network to actually help you to actually market this product as well. I mean, but that's pretty much all I've got, unfortunately, in regards to getting this product out there in the kind of current state of our planet. Twitter is another good space right now. I mean, Twitter obviously has been taken over by Elon Musk, and you know he's completely created this environment where free speech is 100% safe, you know, so there's no, you know, you won't be putting something out there and you're going to have the, you know, the police knocking at your door, or you know, it's not like you're going to put something out on your channel and all of a sudden it's going to get taken down or banned, you know. So this is one avenue that's recently opened up for a lot of people that, you know, need things like free speech and things like that. So that might be another alternative idea as a kind of small thing maybe, but yeah, that's where I'm at, really.
No, thank you. I mean, I've done all of those things intensely for the last 6 years. I mean, you know, Goop, Gwyneth Paltrow, they were going to have the National Light, an episode on Gaia, I think it's Gaia or Netflix, no, Netflix, I think. And then just before the shooting took place, they cancelled that. I mean, it's like, you know, Joe Dispenza, people close to him had came here and brought the technology. So the many times, where people who could have didn't. And I don't sort of, I see things more on the, should we say, the energetic level. There's a huge fear-based pushback against the future that's engineered by the WEFers, obviously. But if you think of the conditioning that people go through and have been through for the last 6,000 years in particular, that sort of giving up all your power so you get, you know, your trough to eat from, and then you get shorn and then taken out. It, literally in a farm, I'm sure you've heard this and maybe could even have tried it. But if you open the gate in a sheep farm, sheep won't, I mean, why am I going out there? I've got hay in here. And that's the thing. Now people are waking up. So the only authentic, I've tried funnels, I've tried marketing in different environments. I do have an ambassador thing, you know, anyone who sells PyraLight gets 111. Somebody came along and did an affiliate thing, which was a complete disaster. Just took half my money and didn't generate any more sales, and then didn't follow up with people. So, oh, and another one I paid 10,000 to, who said he'd made $1 million business before and he could easily do it. Love the PyraLight, blah, blah, blah. So there are many, you know, many people who might have good intention see the value of it, but they're not connected to spirit. And because this is a gift, it's not my thing. It's not like I sat down and researched anything. I was just told, do this. Oh, all right. You know, I'm busy doing my practice. I'm a monk, but I always do what I'm told to do from upstairs. You know, somebody who's into crypto, he loves the PyraLight and uses it every morning with the nasal to wake him up, and he has a big following. And to his Patreon group, he said, okay, we'll do an interview like this, you know, chat about it. And we sold about 40, and, you know, I gave him a big coupon, you know, coupon with a big discount for them, and then the same for him. And so I you know, I have all the things you're talking about are very logical, but it feels like on the subtle level, it's not, I can't, you know, I'm not a dualist. I don't think we're in a fight against the cabal, but everything's a reflection of our own group consciousness. And we're transiting out of a sheep pyramidal structure where we're all at the bottom and we're just resources.
Wants to kind of non-hierarchical structure.
To be fed off, yeah, by the elite. And we're moving into self-responsibility. So I'm looking for ways of patching that community, because even, you know, even say 1% of the population being able to listen to what we're saying and understand it, and not saying, oh, it's conspiracy theory or whatever bullshit. or my doctor doesn't believe
Yeah,
in
they
this.
don't understand it. Yeah.
Yeah, or they're just close to it because at some level, consciously or subconsciously, they want to be safe. They're the people, the million Germans who worked in the concentration camp and committed atrocities on the Jewish people who were in there. That's the kind of people who are compliant. And so the vast majority of people are not willing to take any responsibility. They want everything to be easy and comfortable.
For sure.
But what happens is their body reflects it. So they're the people who die because their vitamin D levels are really low, and then they get Covidius kind of bullshit poisoning thing. And they're just victims. So those people, I'm not interested in marketing to them because they have to do their inner work of moving from their fated destiny, which is to be a sheep and have a horrible life and then die miserably with half a dozen chronic diseases and 20 drugs that they're taking every day, according to
3 times a day. Yeah.
practice. Yeah. So that's their journey, and I mean, good for them. I don't think, you see, from a non-dual perspective, their soul learns something. So it's all very fine as saying, well, you need to be the best. No, you don't. You are incarnated, you're given the gifts of incarnation, not to be a high-performing being, but to gain experience for kunzu. So kunzu is the field, if you like, the akasha. So we're just uploading at 22.3 terahertz in the frame rate of reality. We're uploading our experience. And so as a consciousness of the universe, because it's one conscious being,
It's expanding.
we're just parts, our souls are little fragments, like grains of sand on the beach. So as we upload new information, it doesn't matter that the information is crap and really horrible, and it has emotions tied to it. It has the possibility of learning and transformation. And so the difficulty is fundamentalists say my way is, the woke idiots. Any of those fundamentalists, they're projecting their own insecurities and inner fears onto everyone else. And they're they're the people who will perform the atrocities, whatever they're ordered to do, from a couple of people at the top. But that's the old way. So I believe in creating resonance. And so as this is an example of it, but it's like talking to other people, passing it on. And numbers at the moment, it's darkest before the dawn. So it's to be expected that the numbers are very, very low. But somehow, through our actions, if we create a resonant field that's more loving and inclusive, magnetically we'll
draw more in, yeah.
Yeah. So I like your idea of Twitter. I'd never even thought of that because I've been watching what Elon Musk is doing. It's a shame. I guess he's doing it in stages. So people like David Icke he won't let back on, which I think is a mistake, because David Icke, he may not be the most easy messenger for everyone to listen to.
But in theory, he's still got a right to his own opinion and his own story, and I think he should be able to be on there. I mean, hopefully it is in stages, but he should. I didn't even realize that he wasn't even on there yet. But
he was talking to Brian Rose the other day, and sort of saying, well, you have to watch people's actions. But I think what Elon, even if he's in there as a representative, I mean, the play where he is, he wouldn't be if the deep state didn't approve of him. So at the very least, he's the good guy to Klaus Schwab, the butt Schwab being the bad guy, or Harari even more so. So, but we're all doing our thing, you know, and he reaches a lot of people, and he's brilliant, and what he's pulled together is amazing. So I don't, you know, disparage that, and I was very surprised that Twitter came through, but I think from the West's point of view, they want to cull the herd, right? So first thing you do is you frighten the herd, and then they'll scatter. So they got as many.
Then you take off the weak ones.
Yeah, you do, and that's the whole point of nature. It's like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, you've axed the idiots who'll sign up for a vax. Well, great, good for them. You know, they believe that 3.5 billion, brilliant. If they die in 5 years, that's fine. That's their experience. You know, it's not. They didn't do anything wrong. They chose a conforming path. Great, no problem. But what you have to do then, it's like wildebeests in Africa, is the image I have. You then go and hide, you make sure you're downstream so they don't smell you, because now they associated, you know, guns and smelly people with danger. And you let them all calm down. So that's what's happening right now. Everyone's calming down. And then you blind them with the triple pandemic bullshit, whatever, fake science. And then cull the next lot, because you can poison them with more boosters. So given that that's the modus operandi of the system, we're being concentrated, if you like.
I mean, but it's also a blessing in disguise in one way, you know, because it is, I mean, ultimately, you know, it's still dividing the population out there, right? And the divide is now becoming a little bit more clear. In regards to, you know, whose community, you know, and you saw this throughout the pandemic. You know, families were splitting into different groups, vaxxers and non-vaxxers, you know, believing in this whole, you know, scamdemic and not believing in this whole scamdemic, following it, not following it. You know, there was this whole divide, but it is a kind of a blessing because our community is kind of like growing in a sense that's kind of more clear, you know, like now there's kind of like defining lines saying, right, I am standing for a better humanity. I'm standing for, you know, more freedom. I'm standing for all these things. Whereas before there was this kind of gray area and, you know, people could be in, could be out, they could be whatever, you know, so there is a kind of a bit of a blend. I mean, I don't believe in dividing the population anyway, but like the fact that, you know, if we have to look at a positive, that is definitely a positive in my mind, you know, is we know who is our tribe right now, you know who is your people. And just in regards to, you know, yourself and in getting yourself out there, I think it's just keep doing what you're doing. You know, the community itself is already growing. If this is already something that's kind of like underlined and, you know, being fed through to the community, the new people will find out, you know, and that obviously increases the numbers. And if you look at any successful business on a kind of graph kind of thing, most things, you know, kind of start on this kind of flat line and they kind of go like that for years and years and years. And all of a sudden it kind of starts like tilting. And then that graph starts moving up like this, you know, and this is kind of what I'm envisioning for, you know, the PyraLight at the end of the day. You know, we can't compete against these kind of global companies and, you know, corporate kind of structures, and we don't need to at the end of the day, you know, because that's just going to stop that curve exactly where it is. And, you know, it might get a bad label, it might get a bad name, it might kind of, you know, get labeled as a certain thing, and, you know, all that hard work you would have done up until that point is kind of lost. So I think what you're doing currently is already on the right path. You know, I think it's just it's obviously we want to get this out to the world a lot faster, because we know the benefit that people can have from this, but you can't do more than what you're already doing without risking losing it all, I think. You know.
I like to stay in, you know, I'm not somebody who's paranoid about my communications. I'm just hidden in broad daylight, you know. I think you paint a target on your back if you do all this covert stuff. I mean, somebody said, really points out very well, I think it was George Gilder, that you have no privacy. If you leave your house, that's not a secret. You know, there are people around. So why live your life as if you're hidden, you don't exist? Because you draw attention. You know, the NSA knows the people who are using all the secrecy stuff, but I'm just noise, and I stay noise. You know, we're just, that's why I do the Light Party videos each week. I don't know if you've seen any of those on the National Light community.
I have, yes, I have.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's just, you know, a fun, wacky thing to do with the people who show up. And it's beautiful. It's a natural way of forming community. And there are people who used to come here, you know, like 8 years ago, and they still remember how much fun we had with the music and talking and the tribe, you know, as you said, it's a tribe meeting. So, you know, I'm very grateful to you to connect with your community and share it in that same way. And you know, the way new technology displaces old technology is the old technology is irrelevant. I mean, why invest in a bank when crypto's here?
Yeah.
It's not like you have to fight the bank. The bank is very, you know, like Blockbuster with Netflix. They just said, no, we don't understand you. We're doing our tried and true. Now with Elon, he's basically, his vision is to do the WeChat of the West, which was his vision with PayPal 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And it's called X, which is very
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah, Project X. Yeah, I know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, for the stenography. So if he, you know, I have suppliers and friends in China, and they do everything on WeChat. I mean, we in the West can't access the payment thing, but it would strike me, you know, he said that he bought Twitter to accelerate X by 4 years, to, you know, to have that huge network to start off with. So maybe offline, I'd love to brainstorm with you if you think there's the equivalent. I don't like the Facebook stuff, it's garbage, the page and everything.
It's horrible. Yeah.
Horrible. But I have Square, and given that he's working with what's his name, the founder of Twitter, sorry, I've forgotten his name.
I can't remember his name
Beard?
either. Yeah, the big bearded guy. Yeah, I don't know his name either, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
But anyway, he was building the other side of that, and now that he and Elon are working together, if Square got added, because they're pushing the Squarespace thing a lot now, and it's running on, say, Bitcoin, you know, Lightning, and I can basically transfer my website information onto there
automatically to Twitter. Yeah,
where there's just people sharing concepts, and they said, "Oh, go and have a look at this thing," and it's done in a not like an Apple thing where you pay 30% or 50% or whatever to Apple for the privilege.
Not annoying, yeah.
But you know, where it's done properly. So anyway, I'd love to talk to you more about that, because it feels like Spirit is bringing this new way of interacting where we're all on the same level, where we're all self-responsible, and the old pyramids that control everything are irrelevant.
Relevant, yeah. No, it's beautiful to see, you know, like, I mean, just talking about like the Twitter thing in regarding to crypto, for example. I mean, you have this guy called Ben Armstrong. He's got a big following on YouTube. You know, he's kind of taken this whole thing against FTX pretty much head on. But there's a lot of things that he can't put on YouTube, for example, because he knows he's going to get banned. He knows he's going to, you know, his channel's going to get blocked. They're going to change the algorithms on him, so he's not going to get the same reach and all this kind of stuff. So he ends up going on Twitter, and Twitter's got this thing called Twitter Spaces now, where I don't know if you're familiar with this, but Twitter Spaces is basically where they can do like a live show. You know, so let's say, for example, you wanted to do like a show live about the PyraLight, and then you can actually select a few people. There might be other influencers, there might be people that's in this, you know, in our community, there might be, you know, leaders in our community, and you can actually get them on as speakers as part of this, you know, this Twitter Spaces, and unlimited amount of people can kind of join this. I mean, I think okay, don't quote me on the numbers here, but for some reason I believe that when Elon did a Twitter Space quite recently, I think it was in the last kind of 10 days, there was something like 1.2 million people that was listening to that space, right? So this is obviously like anybody that's following Elon and anybody that's following the speakers that he had on there are going to see that this space is now live, you know, and And it was the same for me with Ben Armstrong. You know, I could see the guys live. You know, the heading is I'm in the Bahamas. You know, I'm taking down Sam Bankman-Fried, and I'm like, what? Okay, this seems interesting. It touches me. I'm involved with the world of crypto. I want to listen in. And you know, I listened in, and this guy had over 10,000 people listening to him live in that moment. But my point only being is that he was only reaching his market. You know, he was only reaching his network. You know, he wasn't going against other people. He wasn't putting this publicly, but he was there talking to the people that was interested in what he wanted to say, you know, about that subject, and was obviously interested in him. So by utilizing something like that within our community, you know, the people that we connected to, it just enables us to directly speak with them, touch with them, you know, and you can actually have people request to speak. So let's just say, as me as a kind of guest on this Twitter Spaces, if I felt like I had a question, I had something to say, you can request to actually speak. And if they think that, you know, they want to like allow you to speak, you can actually come on. And this is also a way to, you know, talk to people directly, answering specific questions, you know, whatever the case is, you know. And I just found it super interesting because we haven't had a platform like this before, you know, where complete free speech was allowed in real time, you know, and no one can do anything about it. You know, they can't just cut you off. They can't just stop you in your tracks. And it's shed so much light, you know, just again, this FTX thing, for example, has shed so much light on the corruption in the governments and the politicians, in our regulators, you know. And this would have, and in the same time, this is on the air live. You've got the mainstream media trying to do puff pieces on SBF, and it's just showing you how bad the mainstream media actually is, you know, in real time. And I was just like blown away. And obviously for me and someone like yourself, I guess this gets us excited because we finally got something that or a platform where we can actually speak our minds without having to worry that we're just going to get banned. You know, it's
okay.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
I really appreciate this time you spent with me, Barry. And here's my request to you in the near future. If you would like to help me do a Twitter space and maybe be the MC or whatever, or, you know, like pull your team, your community. I don't have a Twitter following because it's so garbage. And, you know, I watch people, but I don't bother posting, you know, it's like, oh God. But now that it's...
I'm more of a watcher than a poster myself on Twitter personally as well. Yeah. So.
But I would love to get this rolling because this kind of conversation we're having right now could reach a lot more people organically, and that would be wonderful. Yeah. And then let's follow up. You've really given me a great insight into where to go next. So thank you.
No, it's my pleasure. No worries. This is what we're here for anyway. And honestly, anything to help, you know, the PyraLight get out there is something I'm happy to do. You know, like what that technology has done for me personally, and, you know, the rate of healing that I had, and the kind of hope it gives me, you know, just for the future. You know, like, I mean, as anybody that goes through a serious accident, especially when it affects your ability to walk, you know, it's kind of serious, right? So having something like this technology does give you hope, as well as healing, as well as, you know, soothing, as well as all the above, right? The calming and all that kind of stuff. So you know, anything I can do to help to get this technology out there, you know, I'm willing to do. As long as I got capacity for it, I'm in, you know.
Okay, well, thank you. That's really gives me a lot of hope and shines a beautiful golden light on the PyraLight. And here's the Pyra eyes just saying goodbye to everyone. So you take care, and I'll be in touch very soon. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Guy. You have a beautiful day.